Tonight stopped in its tracks.
Down, down with the occupation.
The Capitol Pride Parade called off shortly after it began.
I am sad I didn't get to march, but I'm definitely way sadder for the people who are experiencing a lot of hardship over in Palestine, and this is a way to get a really good message out.
As pro-Palestinian protesters block the street. A new season on the horizon means changes to OC Transpo's schedule.
You're going to see, especially this year, big decisions being made about how we want to spend that money. Is it on the $1 million solutions, or is it the more localized bus routes?
The transit provider shifting into its fall schedule, which includes a new 24-hour bus route connecting the Ottawa International Airport to the LRT. And one big step towards their first day of school.
This is something that we really enjoy, giving him a little bit of advance notice of what's going to happen.
Soon-to-be students learn road and bus safety tips ahead of their first day of class. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Thousands of people lined the streets of Ottawa for Capitol Pride this afternoon, ready to celebrate the inclusivity of the annual parade. But about an hour after it started, the new parade route was blocked. CTV's Natalie Van Roy has more on the unexpected interruption. Natalie.
Well, Austin, the parade started at 1 p.m., but it was canceled only an hour and a half later, and that's because the route was blocked off in front of Parliament Hill on Wellington Street by pro-Palestinian protesters.
The group Queers for Palestine Ottawa blocking Ottawa's annual Pride Parade Sunday afternoon, bringing the festivities to a halt.
We had staged a disruption of the parade to say our demands to both Capitol Pride's executive director and board of directors and to the mayor. We were looking for apologies from the mayor in particular for boycotting last year and for encouraging other powerful institutions to boycott the parade.
The group halted the parade to demand the apology from not only the mayor, Mark Sutcliffe, but also other organizations that pulled out of the Capitol Pride events last year when organizers issued a statement condemning Israel.
The mayor said he would not come up and talk to us, and even when communicated that the parade would then disperse if we didn't move, he still refused to come up and talk to us.
In a statement, Ottawa's mayor said in part, "It's deeply regrettable that a group of activists chose to block the parade, ultimately leading Capitol Pride officials to cancel the event. My heart goes out to the many people in our city who were deprived of the opportunity to participate in this celebration of joy, resilience, and community." The parade traveled from City Hall along Elgin to Wellington Street, where it was halted by protesters at O'Connor Street.
I am sad I didn't get to march, but I'm definitely way sadder for the people who are experiencing a lot of hardship over in Palestine, and this is a way to get a really good message out.
Speaking before the disruption, Capitol Pride's executive director said they were excited for the new route in front of Parliament.
We're really excited that we're reclaiming Wellington. It's a really important place in the 2S LGBTQ+ community for protest. We've got a lot of really important victories won through protesting.
Before the parade was halted, Mayor Mark Sutcliffe said city officials were happy to take part again. Organizers said 175 groups and more than 6,000 people were registered to take part in the event.
And Capitol Pride's executive director says they will be issuing a statement tonight on that disruption. We'll have the latest at 11:30 and online. Austin.
Yeah, we'll definitely be waiting for that statement. CTV's Natalie Van Roy reporting live for us tonight. Natalie, thank you for this. OC Transpo rolled out its new fall schedule today, which includes a new 24-hour direct bus route connecting the Ottawa International Airport to East LRT stops. The rollout is meant to boost services and make travel more convenient, but some residents feel it's a waste of money. CTV's Josh Morano joins us live in studio with more on some of the growing frustration towards the transit provider. Josh.
Yeah, Austin, I spoke with transit riders today about some of the new changes coming to OC Transpo, and just about everyone rolled their eyes when I told them about the new route, asking where the money is coming from, especially with the transit service when it's running a $50 million deficit this year.
It's supposed to be a better way to get to the airport. The new 105 OC Transpo bus route launching Sunday.
a direct bus from East LRT stations to the airport every 30 minutes.
Why did we build the O train line?
But not everyone is on board. Riders like Sam Murdoch argue the route is not needed.
Why did we waste millions or whatever on that project to go to the airport when you're just going to launch another bus that does the exact same thing?
Line 105 will run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from St. Laurent and Herdman Station. According to OC Transpo, the line is intended to offer more options for East End residents accessing the airport.
I'm always for taxes when they go for something that's needed for the people and if the money is well spent. But I question when the money is well spent in Ottawa.
Critics aren't sold on the move, especially at a time when OC Transpo is struggling with money.
They've just reduced routes, so now they're introducing new routes. I wonder if they know what they're doing, in my humble opinion.
OC Transpo is facing a $50 million shortfall this year, including a $36 million gap the city hoped upper levels of government would help to fill.
You're going to see, especially this year, big decisions being made about how we want to spend that money. Is it on the $1 million solutions, or is it the more localized bus routes?
Travelers note there is already O-Train service that runs to the airport, but Tierney says this addition is not a replacement.
One satisfies the people that actually do the work on the ground, the blue-collar workers that we desperately need up there. The other, certainly working with Ottawa Tourism, all our conventions that come to town, finding opportunities to encourage people to use it.
For Murdoch, he says he would rather see a more reliable transit service than new routes.
I don't have a car. Ottawa is very either transit or car. There's no option to do anything else. It's just unreliable service for too much money.
Along with the addition of the new route, OC Transpo is also scrapping the monthly use pass in a bid to boost revenue. Other route changes can be found on our website, ctvnewsottawa.ca. Austin.
Okay, CTV's Josh Morano reporting live for us tonight. Josh, thank you for this. The start of the school year is right around the corner. For some, that can mean taking your very first ride on a school bus. There was an event today that helped kids and parents take their first steps to learn about bus safety. CTV's Kimberly Johnson joins us live with those details. Kimberly.
Austin, yes, a child's first day of school can be a special and emotional moment for many parents and kids, but it can also be a little bit scary. That's why this annual event held by Ottawa Student Transportation is helping kindergartners across the city feel more comfortable and confident on the school bus.
Your turn to go.
It's 4-year-old Logan's first step onto a school bus.
Just like you do at home.
With mom right behind, they're preparing for a big day.
A little bit emotional that he's going into school.
He's taking part in the First Riders program run by Ottawa Student Transportation and the Ottawa Safety Council. He and other future kindergartners are learning all about the rules of the road and how to take the bus safely.
Good job.
Ahead of his first day.
He's a little bit more needs to know what's happening, and I'm a little bit, I like to know what's happening as well with the plans. So something like this is really good. Something like this is really helpful for kids that need the extra hand of what to expect.
You want to stay in the one line?
Kids learn how to wait for the bus.
Good job.
Get on and off and cross the street. Osta says about 55,000 students across the city take yellow buses like these every year.
So there would be thousands of kindergarten students riding a bus for the first time each year. An event like today really goes a long way to reassure both students and parents that they can safely get to school and that it can be a whole lot of fun.
And drivers say it's helpful for those behind the wheel too, because safety is paramount.
I tell them, okay, there's going to be snow, so you might have to step over the snowbank and then get on the road and kind of talk through all the little things that might happen so it's in the back of their head when it does happen.
Who are you going to sit next to? Maybe a new friend? Ooh.
For 3-year-old Rowan, this year is full of new possibilities.
Go ahead, bud. Up you go.
And with just a few more days until her first day of class, her parents are feeling relief.
It seems like they're going to just take good care of her.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV News.
Osta says that about 75,000 students take the bus each year between yellow school buses and OC Transpo. And with so many kids across the city affected, parents say a training day like this goes a long way to helping students understand that next step. Austin?
And definitely a very exciting time for all those young families. CTV's Kimberly Johnson reporting live for us tonight. Kimberly, thank you for this. And with the talk of back to school, I know a lot of kids, they don't want to hear it. Sorry, it is what it is. Obviously, the weather should be cooling down. We thought today was actually going to be a little bit cooler than it ended up being, but right now you can see we're at 27 degrees. We do have a chance of showers over the course of this evening and a risk of a thunderstorm as well. Tonight's low, 15 degrees, about a 40% chance of showers earlier this evening. So maybe around the 8 to 9 o'clock hour, depending on where you are in the city. 15 degrees is the low most places in our region. Gatineau, however, 13 degrees is the low, 12 in Maniwaki for this evening. Warming up tomorrow, not quite as warm as today. A mix of sun, some clouds, and a chance of showers tomorrow as well, a high of 24 degrees, 23 in Kingston, 21 in Pembroke, and 22 with rain in the forecast for Bancroft. 22 degrees in Montreal. Looks like that risk of a thunderstorm is going to be moving its way east of the city once it passes through Ottawa. Mont-Tremblant, that same risk. Gatineau, a high tomorrow of 23 degrees and showers in the forecast there. Kemptville, 24 degrees is the expected high. 3 people were taken to hospital after a 2-vehicle crash in the city's southeast end this morning. It happened at Anderson Road and Ridge Road at around 11:30 this morning. Paramedics say 1 man was transported with serious injuries. 2 other men were taken to hospital in stable condition. Police continue to investigate this collision. And new data shows fewer Canadians are crossing into the U.S. border from border crossings here in eastern Ontario. There were roughly 34,000 fewer border crossings into New York State from eastern Ontario in July. That is the largest one-month drop so far this year. The data comes from U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The Thousand Islands Bridge continues to see the largest drop in cross-border travel so far this year. And some Canadian businesses are expressing a sense of relief following Ottawa's pledge to remove retaliatory tariffs on American goods covered by the Canada-US-Mexico agreement. CTV's Jeremy Charon has reaction to the move and how it could help you.
It's here Canadians will likely feel the most relief come September 1st. In the aisles and at the checkout counter, Canada's decision to drop retaliatory tariffs could be noticeable.
It's been tough. Last few months, some of the companies that we buy from are from the U.S. or bring their products in from the U.S., and the price difference was just crazy.
The move for Margot and James means increased costs, which she says had to be passed on to the consumer, can be reduced again.
I can't wait till that happens. The next order, I'm hoping they'll have adjusted the prices at the companies so I can adjust my prices.
But this small store is just one example.
50% of small businesses in Canada actually import from the United States. So retaliatory tariffs have a real impact on many of them.
The Canadian Federation of Independent Business applauded the government's move this week to drop counter tariffs, but called for it to be a first step.
What we believe the government needs to do is, of course, try to get the best deal possible as quickly as possible. But in the meantime, they have collected a lot of tariff money. And so that money should be returned in some format to affected businesses.
And the move hasn't come without criticism. In a statement, one of Canada's largest unions, Unifor, said it undermines Canadian workers and weakens Canada's bargaining position in an escalating trade war. Some experts have said it could help negotiations.
By lowering these tariffs, that's a big olive branch that the Canadian government is offering to the United States administration, and that's really critical at this time.
When pressed on it Friday, the Prime Minister offered this.
Do you have any assurances from the Americans that this will kickstart negotiations? Did President Trump specifically say that in his conversation with you?
Yes.
The Prime Minister has indicated Canada and the U.S. have agreed to intensify trade talks, but there is still no indication on a timeline for a deal, which means uncertainty remains the biggest challenge for businesses. Jeremy Charon, CTV News, Ottawa.
It was a celebration of Latin American culture at Lansdowne Park this afternoon. Food, music, family fun at every turn, even a brief parade. CTV's Camille Wilson was there to check it out.
Vibrant colors, rhythm of the dancers, traditional music and flavors fill Lansdowne Park Sunday for the Latin American Festival, drawing hundreds to experience the richness of Latin culture. But for some, it's all about showing the next generation what it means to be Latino.
It's amazing to have them here and for them to be part of our heritage and to see everything that our culture means.
Diego and Marcela says it brings them joy to partake in the parade with their daughters, something they used to do back in their home country.
So exciting because they get to see our culture and learn about a bit about it.
And it's just so nice to see people from your country here in Canada. It's just so beautiful.
The festival displays each Latin country's costumes, dances, and art. All ages playing a part in the parade and sharing with the community.
It's just so nice, like, showing it to people, like, you know, and especially the inclusivity in Canada.
Inside the horticulture building, authentic cuisine, Latin vendors, and dance performances.
I'm so happy because the idea is people to know really what we are. We are not only tequila or salsa and merengue. No, we are more than that. And that's why I started this parade 20 years ago. Viva Venezuela!
And not even the stroller gets left out of the celebration.
I love it. I want him to know his culture. He's half Nicaraguan, he's born in Canada, and he's half Haitian. So it's important for me that he knows both. So that's why I brought him here.
My dad's from Nicaragua and my mom's from Guatemala, so I'm very proud to represent both countries.
For Laura Alvarado, who moved to Canada 32 years ago, she is happy to bring her traditions here.
Grateful to Canada who allow us to express our culture, our background.
Camille Wilson, CTV News.
When peace comes, we must fortify Ukraine by rebuilding your cities, expanding your industries, developing your resources, and creating the foundations for true prosperity.
Prime Minister Mark Carney tells Ukrainians peace will come and Canada will be there when it does. More on the surprise visit to Ukraine after the break. First, here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Skycam. It is still a pretty nice 27 degrees out there right now. The Prime Minister is in Ukraine, the guest of honor at that country's Independence Day celebrations. Mark Carney delivered a speech aimed at showing the Ukrainian people Canada is there with unwavering support. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports from Poland on the message and what we know about Canada's $2 billion commitment to help Ukraine.
Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke alongside Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv, telling Ukrainians Putin can be stopped and Canada will be there to support them.
When peace comes, we must fortify Ukraine by rebuilding your cities, expanding your industries, developing your resources, and creating the foundations for true prosperity. And when that peace comes, and it will come, that day will come, Canada will be there.
At the G7, the last time these two leaders were together, Canada committed $2 billion to support Ukraine. That money also counts towards Canada's efforts to reach our NATO spending target of 2% of GDP. In his speech Sunday, the Prime Minister announced a breakdown of where it will all go. More than half will be used for drones, ammunition, and armored vehicles, which Carney said will arrive next month. Canada is also funding Made in Canada drones and more humanitarian assistance. In his speech, Carney referenced the famous line used by U.S. President Ronald Reagan about Russia at the time, trust but verify. Carney says in the current moment, it's now about deter and fortify. Canada is actively working on security guarantee possibilities with a group of countries called the Coalition of the Willing, planning for what happens in the event of a ceasefire. Speaking to reporters after the speech, the Prime Minister was his most specific yet about possible contributions from Canada.
We are working through with our allies in the Coalition of the Willing and with Ukraine the modalities of those security guarantees on land, in the air, and the sea, and I would not exclude the presence of troops.
Carney also once again referred to U.S. President Donald Trump's transformative leadership, applauding him for, quote, creating the possibilities for peace. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Warsaw.
And as efforts to bring a negotiated end to the war in Ukraine continue, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance is lauding American efforts to bring parties to the table. Speaking on NBC's Meet the Press, Vance said Russia has made significant concessions as the U.S. pushes for a peace deal.
I think the Russians have made significant concessions to President Trump for the first time in 3.5 years of this conflict. They've actually been willing to be flexible on some of their core demands. They've talked about what would be necessary to end the war. Of course, they haven't been completely there yet, or the war would be over.
Russia's Vladimir Putin met with U.S. President Donald Trump earlier this month in Alaska, with the Americans calling the meeting a success, although no framework for a deal to end the war was reached. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky says any path to peace would require a meeting between himself and Putin, something that Russia says is not planned. Israeli forces killed 4 people traveling through a military zone in South Gaza seeking aid. This is according to Al-Auda Hospital and 2 eyewitnesses. Those reportedly killed were said to be heading to a site run by the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, an Israeli-backed American contractor. Eyewitnesses say troops opened fire on a group near the front of a crowd that was pushing forward to a distribution site before it was scheduled to open. Here at home, Air Canada operations may have returned to normal, but there are worries that things could descend into further uncertainty, with flight attendants saying they may vote against a tentative deal with the airline. CTV's Kamal Karamali has that story.
Things are moving along once again at Toronto's Pearson Airport. A week after a flight attendant strike grounded all Air Canada planes, Alexandra Lalonde is finally able to go home.
I was originally supposed to fly from Pearson to Kelowna, and it was canceled last Saturday. And then kind of same thing as everyone else, it wasn't rebooked, couldn't get through to call.
Air Canada said Thursday it'll cover hotels, meals, and ground transportation for passengers whose travel plans were disrupted.
Air Canada is also being vague and being difficult with passengers who booked their tickets through Airplan or through a travel agency.
While some passengers are still battling Air Canada for compensation, its flight attendants are doing the same when it comes to wages.
Flight attendants are crying.
The airline and the flight attendants union struck a tentative deal Tuesday that would see a 12% wage increase for less experienced employees, an 8% bump for more senior staff right away, and 50% of their hourly wages for 1 hour of work done before takeoff. All of that would see incremental increases over 4 years. And that's getting pushback from some union members who are set to vote on the proposed deal next week.
Now, CTV News has spoken to multiple Air Canada flight attendants who tell us that they are going to vote no on the tentative agreement, saying it doesn't give them enough of a wage increase.
Flight attendants speaking to CTV News anonymously, fearing repercussions from their employer, say they expect most flight attendants to vote against ratifying the deal because it would not allow entry-level workers a decent living wage and doesn't address concerns around payment for a delayed or canceled flight.
It's really, food bank wages and, make people to a living wages. So there's a lot of angst that's being expressed by the flight attendants.
Air Canada declined to comment, but the union told CTV News our members forced the company back to the table with a better offer, except on wages. We will respect whatever decision is made by our members. If that decision is to reject the deal, flight attendants can't legally strike. Instead, the wages portion of the agreement would be decided by an independent arbitrator. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
Rail safety experts are issuing a warning after video surfaced showing a young man riding on a moving train in London, Ontario. Now advocates are warning about the rise of similar illegal incidents right across the country. CTV's Brent Lale has the details.
Video shows a young man testing out the speed of a moving train in downtown London. Moments later, he returns and jumps on the side, riding it for a few meters.
They were taunting the train, basically, tons and tons of heavy metal, and they were touching it and playing with it.
Christopher Bogle is often the eyes and ears in the city's core. He took out his camera and started recording.
They saw me filming. I even yelled out to the one guy, "You want to lose your leg or what? Or your life?" And he thought it was a joke.
The incident is the third notable one involving rail in the past week. A person was charged with surfing on a Via train in eastern Ontario. Then in White Rock, BC, video showed a woman and multiple children crawling under a stopped train rather than waiting.
Our mission at Operation Lifesaver is to try to get to zero. So 0 crossing incidents, 0 trespassing, 0 deaths, and 0 injuries. And unfortunately, we have some work to do to get to zero.
According to Operation Lifesaver, rail trespassing incidents are up 46% this year over the historical 5-year average. Serious injuries related to rail trespassing are up 250%. A CPKC spokesperson says fines could reach up to $50,000. And climbing and riding train cars and other equipment is both illegal and extremely dangerous. A month away from Rail Safety Week and just days from Western University students returning, safety advocates warn against trying to impress friends or gain social media clicks.
With frost weeks happening, we know that southwestern Ontario has a ton of rail and is a hot spot for incidents. So we are reminding people to do their part to stay safe by staying well back and staying off the tracks.
As for Bogle,
this is almost a deja vu a few years ago.
It was then when he witnessed a woman carry her child over a stop train at this same location. Both incidents could easily have been fatal.
When he did jump off, you could tell he sort of slipped a bit, and that would have been it.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
Precision and skill of athletes aiming for excellence in Winnipeg at the World Archery Youth Championships. It's one of the biggest international events, and as CTV's Alex Carpa shows us, for some athletes, it's about far more than just a sports competition.
Serhi Senura has one goal in mind, winning the competition.
Yeah, it's pressure, but, to be the best, you have to beat the best.
He is from Western Ukraine. He has been practicing archery since he was young and has been involved in many tournaments. But the last 3.5 years have not been easy for him. Ukrainians like Senura continue to see Russian bombings hit Ukrainian cities as peace talks heat up. Senura says he tries to put all that aside and focus on the task at hand.
I just try not to think about anything and just to shoot, not even think about the shot, just have nothing in my head and just shoot, yeah.
The championships are held every 2 years in a different country with world titles at stake in the under-21 and under-18 age groups. New Zealand competitor Zach Campbell says he's never been to a competition this big before.
I've been to a couple international competitions in Australia, but they weren't quite as big. Never seen this many targets before. It's amazing.
Bringing in competitors from all around the world requires a lot of manpower to make an event like this happen. But due to the Air Canada strike, the organizer says they are lacking volunteers. The strike also forced 9 countries to back out, and several competitors arrived right before the event started. To accommodate this, the schedule was heavily condensed, making it the largest and tightest competition in world archery's history.
We've had to really pack a lot of action into a few short days.
Despite the challenges, the event went as planned, and Taylor says this competition is often a springboard for athletes moving forward in their careers.
My son won a silver medal in Madrid in 2019, so for a lot of these parents as well, it's a super proud moment.
As for Senura, the Olympics is his goal.
I think that I've got some chances to win.
But for now, he's focused on winning this competition. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Any accurate information is always welcome to make better choices.
Still ahead, new food labels are coming to Canadian grocery stores in a bid to help shoppers make healthier decisions.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, CTV Morning Live, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
There's a live look through our Centennial Glass sky cam. It is currently 27 degrees right now. A beautiful day here in the nation's capital and a little bit warmer than what we were originally anticipating when we were looking at the forecast from Environment Canada. Let's take our first full look at the weather forecast. You can see a little bit of weather activity just kind of skirting by to the east, southeast of the city. A little bit of rain in the afternoon so far here in the capital, and a little bit on the way for parts of the city. More on that in just a moment. Right now, It's 19 degrees in St. John's, 20 degrees in Halifax, and 23 in Fredericton and in Charlottetown. I mentioned we're sitting at 27. We're actually the hotspot in the province right now, and things will be cooling down to around 23, 24 degrees, which is what we're seeing in Windsor and in Toronto currently. Out in the prairies, it is currently 22 degrees in Regina, 22 as well in Saskatoon, 26 in Edmonton, and that is quite warm for this time of year. It's 25 in Calgary. Beautiful conditions there as well for the Great Outdoor Comedy Fest happening in Calgary this weekend. Vancouver, 23 degrees. Very enjoyable temperatures as the PNE continues until the beginning of September. What do we expect tonight? Well, I mentioned that chance of showers, about 40% chance. Potential for a thunderstorm as well with a low of 15 degrees. Warming up tomorrow to 24 with a chance of showers over the course of the early afternoon. In the Ottawa Valley, the low tonight is 13. The high tomorrow afternoon is 21. They have a chance of a thunderstorm in both the evening and the afternoon hours. And for the Seaway, the low tonight, 15 degrees, 24 with a chance of showers for tomorrow afternoon. So a break from the rain come Tuesday with a high of 20 degrees, 23 on Wednesday, cloudy conditions Thursday, high of 22 degrees. But as you can see, we're staying in the low to mid 20s for at least the next 7 days. So this is the hottest day that we will have felt for some time. Grocery store items across Canada will soon have a new food label to help shoppers make smart, healthy decisions. The change becomes mandatory on January 1st, but as CTV's Anastasia Dextrine reports, some Quebec stores are already rolling them out.
From sale labels to calorie labels, it's labels galore at the grocery store. And there's a new one that's headed for the shelf.
Any accurate information is always welcome to make better choices, as long as it's easy for the customer to understand and read.
Cereals, drinks, and other prepackaged foods in Canada's grocery stores will soon have the symbol of this black and white magnifying glass. It signals customers about foods that are high in fat, high in sugar, or high in salt.
I do welcome the information, and I do think it will be a factor in the way I'm shopping going forward.
I think it's a very good idea. And I also think that there are things that are sold in the drugstore also, for example, that should be considered in that respect.
People are quite unaware of what might be high in sodium, and they might be a bit surprised, so that'll help some people's blood pressure.
Food companies have until January 1st to apply the front label. It's an addition to the nutritional value table that's much easier to read. Canned soups, processed meats, juices, and frozen foods are but some of the items that will be covered. The change from Health Canada coincides with a study by the University of Laval. It found high fat, sugar, and sodium in 60% of the prepackaged foods most commonly consumed in Quebec. Dietitian Clémence Desjardins says it's important to be aware of the associated risks.
Consuming a lot of foods with high amounts of saturated fats, sugar, and sodium has been linked to higher risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and hypertension, as well as certain types of cancers. And these foods also often replace more nutritious options in people's plate. So, for instance, fruits, vegetables, whole grains.
Desjardins adds there are some food exceptions for which the label won't apply. Dairy products, for instance, can be high in salt, sugar, and fat, but they remain a recommended source of calcium.
Similar labeling approaches are currently used in other countries and have been proven effective to reduce the consumption of less nutritious foods. So I'm confident that this new regulation will help.
Anastasia Dextrine, CTV News.
There's no more legal action I can take. I already have 2 lawyers that are basically fighting them in court to keep my dogs alive.
After the break, pleading with Ontario's Ministry of Natural Resources to save his pack of hybrid wolf dogs. How an Ontario man is raising his voice in an effort to save his 16 animals. A man from the Greater Sudbury area is pleading with Ontario's Ministry of Natural Resources over the future of his hybrid wolf dogs. He has 16 animals in an enclosure on his property, and he is trying to work with the ministry to have them relocated rather than put down. CTV's Alana Everson reports.
Brighton Bongard is a butcher by day and is feeding his 16 hybrid wolf dogs raw chicken. He knows them all by name and lays down in their enclosure with them to bond and play. He says he knows time with them may be running out, with a pending seizure of the animals by the MNR.
There's no more legal action I can take. I already have 2 lawyers that are basically fighting them in court to keep my dogs alive. But at the end of the day, the ministry said one way or another, come and take your dogs. And that's all they said.
He says it all started when a friend gave him 5 puppies and was told they may have wolf in them. After a barn fire on his property, he got visits from Bylaw and the Ministry of Natural Resources about the hybrid animals. He says he's worked with the MNR to fix all of them and do DNA testing.
The ministry, all they've said is that they're 57% wolf, and they haven't really commented on what the other half is. And unfortunately, over time, it went from we have a sanctuary to we might have a sanctuary to we have a sanctuary for some of your dogs to the last time I talked to someone at the MNR, they said basically we have to figure out a way to properly dispose of your dogs.
In a statement, the MNR says the government is committed to ensuring wildlife in captivity are treated with care and respect. In general, it's against the law to keep wild animals from Ontario as pets or to hold them in captivity. As this is an active case, MNR is unable to comment further. This retired veterinarian who operated a former wildlife refuge center and is currently involved in fish and wildlife research to ensure animal welfare procedures are looked at properly, says wolves belong in the wild and that they can be unpredictable.
When they get to be mature, they're more like a pack animal, and the owner will be part of that pack, but any other person walking by is not a part of that pack, and they're an intruder. So that's where the danger gets involved.
Dr. Yopi says there are other risks linked to having exotic pets.
Getting killed, getting bitten, zoonotic disease from some exotic animals. Of the diseases that people get, 75% are from animals. So there is that contagious aspect.
Bongard says he knows he did wrong and is willing to face the consequences, but doesn't think the animals deserve to be euthanized. He adds it's a waiting game right now to find out what the MNR will do with his hybrid wolf dogs. Alana Everson, CTV News, Wanapitei.
This time last year, she was ranked outside the top 300 and now in the middle of the top 20.
Straight ahead, Victoria Mboko looks to continue her success story at the U.S. Open, where for the first time ever, 5 Canadians are seated in singles. In tonight's big picture, it was perfect weather for the Colombo International Kite Festival in Sri Lanka. Hundreds of kites took to the sky. Look at them, they're everywhere. Different shapes and sizes, including elephants, leopards, pandas, birds, you name it. They were wafted in the wind. Enthusiasts from 25 different countries took part in the events. And it's now time for some of the other stories that you need to know right now. CTV's Kimberly Fowler joins us now with more on that.
Yeah, a lot of Ottawa sports happening today, which is a great thing for your need-to-knows. The CPKC Women's Open was happening today, and Canada's Brooke Henderson was at the top of the leaderboard on its final day.
The comeback is complete for the pride of Canada.
The golfer from Smiths Falls has won the Canada's National Open. This is for the second time in her career. It's also her 14th career LGBA title. Henderson was tied with Australia's Minjin Lee for most of the final round, but pulled away after birding the 13th, 14th, and 17th holes. She finished at 15 under par and takes home a $412,000 prize. Fellow Canadians Maud Emmy LeBlanc and 15-year-old amateur Aphrodite Dang finished the tournament tied for 20th. They were both at 4 under par.
This time last year, she was ranked outside the top 300 and now in the middle of the top 20. So I think this is someone, again, that her unflappability is her greatest strength. She's not bothered by the noise and all the attention, and I think she's going to go out there and play a really good match.
And coming off her National Bank Open victory, Burlington, Ontario's Victoria Mboko is facing high expectations at her first U.S. Open tournament. Mboko will face against the two-time Grand Slam winner, Deborah Krejcikova. in her opening round match, and that's tomorrow. In total, 5 Canadians are seeded in the singles tournament, and that's the first time ever at a Grand Slam event.
Yeah, that's clever, and there may be possibilities here. Charge down, second attempt, back of the net.
And guess who scores for the Rapid FC? Brady Pridham scoring for Ottawa in the 57th minute to even the match at 1 against Vancouver's Rise FC. That's her league-leading 15th goal of the season. Later in the half, Vancouver takes the lead again, and they don't look back. The Rise go on to the 3-2 win over the Rapid. They leapfrog over Ottawa to 3rd place in the Northern Super League standings. The Rapid, they'll play again on Thursday at TD Place against Halifax's Tide FC.
Montgomery deflects to Rodriguez, a bounce, and it goes in.
And last night at TD Place, Atletico's David Rodriguez equalizes a score at 2 in the 72nd minute as a shot deflects off one of the Calgary's players there. That'll actually be your final score. 2-2 draw for Calgary and Ottawa. Atletico back on the pitch at home next Saturday for a matchup against Vancouver FC.
Teasing and turning and firing it across.
And the Italian professional football club Juventus off to a flying start thanks to Ottawa's Jonathan David getting them on the score sheet and making history in his debut for the club. David is the first ever Canadian to score a goal for Juventus. They go on to a 2-0 win over Parma in their season opener. David, he's also Canada's all-time leading scorer with 36 goals in 67 international appearances. What a day for him. What a day for Canadian soccer.
100%. And how cool is it to see that sign with Jonathan David, the Maple Leaf in the background? In Italy.
Yeah.
Their top league.
Yeah, Tejan Buchanan also plays for Team Canada. He scored 3 goals in his match in Spain today. So, yeah, big soccer day for those guys.
There you go. Straight ahead, how a hockey tournament is bringing people from across our region together, all to support local charities.
The National Capital Region is jam-packed with incredible experiences you don't want to miss. Hey, I'm Sanaya Taylor, your iHeartRadio Weekender, powered by Barrhaven Ford. Get the inside scoop on all the biggest and best events every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on CTV, Move 100, Pure Country 94, TSN 1200, and News Talk 580 CFRA. iHeartRadio Weekenders is powered by Barrhaven Ford, the #1 Ford EV dealer in Ontario.
Hairstyles, courtesy of Salon Fiorella.
Here's a recap of the top local stories we're following right now.
We had staged a disruption of the parade.
The Capitol Pride Parade called off after pro-Palestinian protesters blocked the parade route just over an hour after it began. OC Transpo's new fall schedule is now in effect, including a new 24-hour direct bus route connecting the Ottawa International Airport to the LRT.
Good job.
And one step closer to their first day of school. Soon-to-be kindergarten students and their parents get road and school bus safety tips. We'll take a final look at the weather forecast and what you can expect to wake up to. It's going to be a bit of a wet one, potentially. 40% chance of showers with the wake-up temperature at 16 degrees. And then a mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday, a high of 20 degrees, 23 on Wednesday, that same mix of sun and cloud. But basically in the low to mid-20s for the next 7 days. Much more moderate temperatures, and I'm glad that we're out of that extreme heat. Time now to check in to see what our team is working on for tonight. Kimberly Fowlers.
Well, also, you just saw in the Need to Knows, we covered a lot of sports, so we'll be checking out any breaking news that's happening in the city, of course. And we'll also head to Toronto to check out Oasis. They're set to hit the stage this evening for the first show of the North American leg of their reunion tour. The British rock band is performing at Rogers Stadium for the first time in the city since 2008. Massive crowds are expected as this is their only Canadian stop and just one of 5 North American stops on this tour. And you can get the news anytime, anywhere at ctvnewsottawa.ca. And of course, join me tonight for CTV News at 11:30.
Thanks, Kim. Looking forward to that. And finally for us tonight, a very special hockey tournament took over the Bell Sens Place today.
Yes, Hockey Against Hate brought together more than 150 hockey players raising money to support charity.
This year it goes towards Rise Academy. And it goes to First Assist, which is an Indigenous charity run by John Shabbat, NHL alumni.
It's So Rise Academy is an online secondary school. They offer a unique approach to learning and obtaining credits that go towards the Ontario Secondary School Diploma. First Assist, as you heard there, is an Indigenous-run charity that advances educational achievement in Indigenous communities through sport. 14 teams took part in today's tourney. The goal? Bringing people together to push back against racism and build bridges across communities. And this tournament has grown. It started with just 5 teams.
Wow.
So we see it now 14.
And it just feels like it's just going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, hopefully, right? And to see everyone coming out, obviously lining the hallways. Yeah, our camera operator Brad went there today.
Pretty cool stuff. And what better way to bring Canadians together than with hockey?
That's just it, right? It's the best charitable event.
Absolutely. See you
Have
later
a good night,
tonight.
everybody.